That's the sound of a big deal. At Wayfair, that sound happens a lot. Dream sofa for half the price? Big deal. New dining table you've been eyeing for months? Big deal. Finally picking up those last few pieces and finishing that bedroom? Now that's a really big deal. Whatever your home needs, Wayfair has the selection, the savings, and over millions of 5-star reviews to back it up. Shop Wayfair.com today before someone else snags your big deal.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
How does a former soldier in the British Armed Forces use martial arts to drive a successful sales career? Well, you're about to find out.
Welcome.
Okay, here's the question.
Serious?
How are we dark horses? You know, the ones everyone is betting against, the ones they don't expect to win, place, or even show on the track, and they'll even laugh on us when we talk about trying. How do we show the world our greatness and triumph?
Come on.
Well, that's the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. This is The Dark Horse Entrepreneur. My name is Tracy Brinkman.
And push it out.
Welcome back to your weekly dose of foot-sweeping sales and marketing martial arts learning. I'm your Dark Horse host, Tracy Brinkman. And you? Well, infinitely more importantly, you are a driven entrepreneur, a business owner, or hoping to be one soon. Either way, you're here because you're ready to start, restart, kickstart, or just start leveling up with some great marketing, personal, or business results in order to build that beautiful business of yours into the empire it absolutely deserves to be. Well, got another big episode for you today. Today, John Molyneux shares how he combines his years of martial arts experience with his sales career. Plus, I'm going to let you in on next episode's guest, who's going to be sharing his experience in, wait for it, podcasting. Right? As per usual, the Dark Horse Corrals are chock full of personal, business, and marketing GOLD spilling from every corner of the Dark Horse Entrepreneur HQ. So let's get to the starting gates and go. All right, my fellow Dark Horses, today's guest, John Molyneux, started his incredible sales samurai journey back in his 20s. Yeah, you heard me, sales samurai. And he served under His Majesty's pleasure, the British Armed Forces. So even though he didn't feel like he was destined to be a soldier for the rest of his career, this experience kind of set the stage for his entrepreneurial path towards becoming a sales samurai. Yeah. John found this niche of his own by combining his martial arts skills to complement his sales career, having achieved a black belt in karate along with competing in numerous other arts. He applied the mindset and the strategies of the arts to his sales, allowing him to close deals like a ninja. John's life experiences enabled him to really empathize with people and their situations, turning him into this problem-solving assassin. You feeling a trend here? I like this. Not only does he have this successful and promising sales future, he's also a speaker and the podcast host of Success Breeds Success. So let's give John a roaring dark horse welcome. Sales Samurai. John, first of all, John, welcome to the show. All right. Glad to have you here.
It's an absolute pleasure to be here on the Dark Horse Show. I love the name of this show as well.
Well, thank you. I'm going to step back in a moment to let you tell your story, but I want to make sure we get into this sales samurai thing because it is such a cool thing. I'm a big, as you and I have discussed before, I'm a big martial arts fan from way back in my teenage days. So when I saw sales samurai, I'm like, okay, I have to talk to this guy. But before we go there, let me just hand you the microphone and let you tell your story. Where you came from, what you're doing, why you love doing what you're doing.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm from a town called Bolton, which is in the northwest of England, and it's kind of near Manchester. If I'm guessing most people have heard of Manchester, so yeah, it's near there. And well, basically, I kind of got through my teenage years and everything. I was just doing kind of monotonous jobs and never really kind of found what I wanted to do. I was in and out of work and stuff like that, and just kind of bumming around and not really knowing which direction to take. And then I kind of got into my early 20s and I thought, right, I've had enough of this. I'm going to do something and get me out of here. So I went into the British Army. And as you've already mentioned, it didn't really work out. I didn't feel I was in the right regiment. And there was a number of reasons why I didn't pursue it as a full-time career. but I did take some really good life skills out of it in the 2 years I was there. They do teach you a lot of good stuff, discipline and perseverance and that kind of thing. Those are some of the traits I took from that. And then moving on, when I left, I kind of fell into the sort of security industry and driving work, which a lot of ex-military tend to do. So I was doing a lot of nightclub security and festival circuits and things like that, and driving trucks and what have you. But I never really kind of got my teeth into that, and never really felt that it was something that I wanted to persevere in. But eventually I discovered martial arts, because I think I kind of craved a bit of the discipline that I was lacking from once I left the military. And it was quite a nice thing to get some of that discipline and something to get your teeth into. So I was doing bits and bats of different stuff, and I kind of fell into karate it wasn't really an art that I was really wanting to do, but it was an opportunity to become an instructor. So the idea was that I was to go out and knock on the doors. So I was knocking on doors and getting people to join the classes, but at the same time I was getting my grades, and my karate instruction was free. So that was kind of the deal, was that I was taught how to do the karate, but I was also learning sales skills at the same time by actually knocking on the doors. So that's how my yin yang of martial arts and sales came to fruition. So I was doing it for quite a long time. If you have any people listening in today that are door knockers or have been door knockers, I was doing it for 4 or 5 years, which is quite a long time to be knocking on doors. I mean, you speak to people, and 6 months is kind of a long time for most people. So the fact that I did it for so long, but I liked it, and it was a really good way of connecting with people and sort of like learning different, overcoming objections and lots of other different sales skills. But at the same time, I was learning something I was passionate about with the martial arts.
Nice. That's kind of a cool story. I really like that. So just a quick sidebar. What's your favorite form?
Favorite form in karate, or favorite just in martial arts in general?
Martial arts in general.
Oh, that's a tricky one, because I quite like to dabble in other sort of arts, but I'd say I really am passionate about the Chinese. I've steered away from the Japanese side of things, more into the Chinese direction. I really do love qigong and tai chi and kung fu.
Would that be because of the more flowing styles versus kind of the
rather than the rigid linear movements of karate? It's much more flowy.
No, I agree.
But I also like Filipino stuff and silat and sort of Indonesian arts as well. So there's something really appealing about that. They're kind of because they use a lot of weapons that I like to, like they have karambits and sticks and stuff like that. I like to have things in my hand that I can swing around and stuff. So yeah, I do like a bit of a mixture.
Nice. I have to side with you. I'm more a fan of the free flowing styles, be like water, so to speak. And I too enjoy the weapons. When I was growing up, and even of late, I picked up the nunchucks and the 3-sectional staff, which was, for me, a lot of people are like, good God, that thing is such an awkward tool. But it just felt right in my hand, and it was a lot of fun. I got to not so much compete as just do demonstrations with the 3-sectional staff. They're a lot of fun. You mentioned weapons. Any specific ones that your favorites?
Yeah, I mean, the nunchucks are one of my favorites as well. I do use them quite a lot. Like I said, the Filipino sticks. So you get 2 short, so probably like 2 foot long sticks.
Like the eskrima sticks.
Eskrima sticks.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
Filipino, yeah. So the eskrima sticks. Also karambit. I really like karambit, but machetes as well. I have trained with Molyneux. He does his own sort of family art in Brunei. He's from Brunei, and he uses a lot like machetes and staffs and different stuff like that. So he's really good. So all that
nice.
Kind of stuff.
So you have I mentioned earlier in the intro, you've kind of combined these 2 passions, for martial arts and for sales, to come up with this samurai ninja, this sales samurai combination, and of course the problem solving assassin. So I mean, you still ride that wave to this day?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have any kind of any reason to change or any. I mean, there are other avenues I want to look into and different projects and that I want to take on, but I don't really see any. It is still my foundation and my brand and everything. So, and I enjoy doing both. So I have no reason to stop doing either at the moment.
Nice. Nice. Okay, so I wanted to dig in and see. I think one of the gems I heard as you were telling your story was that you linked your discovery of martial arts back to the lack of discipline. I'm a third generation military man, so I'm a big fan of the military. But I totally get it. It's not for everyone, right? I mean, you have to be a certain mindset and style of character to make that a career. So it's not good or bad whether you do it or not. But I think it's really cool if folks could be exposed to it, even for a short period of time. And I never want to say make it a mandate, but it's just so many life lessons that can be learned, like discipline. You know, the do it like this and make sure it gets done is a big thing. And you're coming back to martial arts because you found that bringing you back, that lack of discipline that you found it back in martial arts. You still apply your learnings from the military and martial arts into your daily routines, into your business, into your life.
Absolutely. I mean, there's certain things that are instilled into you, as you know yourself, from the military that will never leave you. I mean, I'm probably not quite as regimented, and probably not quite as clean. You were very clean, weren't you? I probably haven't got that anymore. My girlfriend will probably back me up with that. I'm probably not as tidy and clean as I was, but there are certain things that will never leave, and that is that I have this raw sort of grit and determination to get something done. If I start doing something, I will not stop doing it unless it's like detrimental to carry on doing it and it's stupid to carry on doing it.
Sure, right?
If I have something in my head that I want to do, I will carry on doing it until I achieve it. So that's definitely something that I gained from the military, and I would not have had that sort of drive and sheer grit and determination that if I hadn't been in the military.
Nice. I will never say enough good things about the militaries across the board. I mean, I know all the different styles of militaries that are out there. I got to go on an airborne a jump. I was a paratrooper in the service, and we did an international reforger. And a reforger, you probably know, but for the listeners out there, is for lack of a better phrase, is a war game. Right. So we were up in Germany and we were doing war games with the French and the English. And I believe also the Spanish were there. So, you know, we did an international jump with the French, and seeing the slight differences in the military styles, but the synergies between them all, like, you know, obviously the discipline and the grit and, you know, all, you know, marching in line, but there was definitely some similarities and some differences that to be learned from all styles. And I think that is one of another cool thing about the martial arts. And you and I were chatting about this when you had me on your show, was to be able to absorb what is useful, you know, and discard the rest. And so as you're seeing other styles, and this could be other people in a relationship or other people in sales to loop you in, to absorb some of the things that they're doing that you could find useful and discard anything that you're not seeing useful anymore. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. Just little things like you just reminded me of my karate days, actually. And there was we had a seminar one day with a really cool. He's like an older guy now. He was like something like 8th Dan, and he'd spent a lot of time living in Japan. And he'd started. I think he'd studied like 7 different styles of karate or something. And he was phenomenal. But he would do a demonstration. So somebody would do a front kick. And the idea was to catch the foot and karate chop the toes. Now, again, it's a brilliant move. But who walks around barefooted? You're not going to catch somebody's foot in the street and karate chop them with sneakers on or boots on. So again, that's the kind of thing where you say you discard that wouldn't have been useful, but it would be useful to catch and pull him up or adapt it and improvise. So again, similar to what you just said, is kind of using what's useful and discard what isn't.
Nice. Yeah, I have a similar little rawer story. Back in my days of carousing the streets, I was hanging out at a buddy's bar. He owned this bar, and there was a fellow who I remember him as AJ. Was it AJ or RJ? Anyway, he was a phenomenal martial artist, and he was just one of those guys. You could tell by the way he carried himself. It was like, well, he wasn't looking for a fight or anything, but you could tell that if you messed with him, right, it was going to be quick. And he studied this style of martial arts, and I can't remember the name of it right now, unfortunately. But I saw it in action just by accident. We were shooting pool, and he was on the far side, and I was on the side of the pool table that was nearest the bar. And one of the guys standing next to me at the bar did something offensive to the barmaid. We won't go there. He did something offensive, right? And I turned to the guy and said, "Dude, leave her alone." Meanwhile, RJ came across the pool table in like one pouncing move. And as he landed, he kneed this guy in the back, fish hooked his mouth, and hooked his arm under his chin, and was starting to take steps out the door with this guy. And when he came back in, he says, "That's the difference between your art and mine." I was like, what? It was one of those things like, okay, so if I was going to use his art to show off at a competition or at a demonstration, it wouldn't have been that fun to watch because it was very done, right? It was just that fast. But for what he was teaching, which was, urban kids self-defense, it was very effective. It was do this, get it under control and subdue. I'm like, all right, that's good. And this is way back before the popularity of MMA, before it even hit the mainstream. I was like forward back and started taking lessons from him because this is the kind of thing you need at those moments when you don't want to be without something, right? Be that a weapon or the ability to run away or a car to drive away in fast. Anyway, I went down a rabbit hole with us right there. Anyway, let's look this back. I want to drill into your sales experience. So for our entrepreneurs, either budding or those guys already cashing checks, what's the number one sales tip you would want to hand out?
You're now listening to the Dark Horse Entrepreneur Podcast.
Well, there's a few actually. It will all depend on, for starters, it doesn't matter what genre or niche or whatever you want to call it is, whether you're a coach, whether you're a business owner, whether you're an entrepreneur, I would recommend learning some form of basic sales skills. So the amount of people I've spoken to, because I have quite a big network of coaches, because it's one of the industries that I've been quite interested in and sort of networking in and stuff like that. And the amount of coaches that I speak to that are really good coaches, but they haven't got a clue how to sell. So they know how to help people, but they don't know how to onboard new clients. And they have to get somebody to do that for them. So I would advise anybody to learn some kind of sales. If you are somebody that is doing sales, like a sales role or a sales rep, so you're new to sales, what I would suggest is get used to rejection.
Yeah.
You get used to no. Get used to being told no, or excuses, or even being lied to, because a lot of the time people will come up with an objection that's a blatant lie, and they're not doing it to be mean or nasty. It's just to put you off. Do you know what I mean? So get used to being listening to no. So you want to think about your sales career or your sales job or whatever your sales role is. It's a numbers game. So if you speak to 10 people, at least 7 or 8 of them are going to say no. It's the 2 people that you want to focus on. So every time you speak it's a numbers game. So every time you speak to 10 people, just think 2 of these people are going to be interested. I'm not concerned about the 8 no's I'm going to get.
Nice. All right. That's going to be a good one. So some of the no's are, like you said, there are those passing no's. I just don't want. I want to get you out in front of my face. Or is there a certain level? And I know this is an acquired skill where you say, I know they're just saying no because I'm standing in front of them, but they really need this, and you know they really need this. How far do you dig comfortably?
That's a good question. Well, the thing is, by the time you get to that stage where you should have done some digging prior anyway. So when you build rapport with somebody, you are getting to know them, and you are friendly, and you are genuinely concerned about the situation they're in, but you're also qualifying them as well. So you find out whether they can invest in X product or what it is what the issues are. So by the time you get to them saying no, you should already have some idea about the reasons why they probably say no, whether it would be down to monetary or whether it's something else.
I have had the fun experience of not so much selling. I think I've been more on the receiving end. Of course, I do my selling online, and when I get prospects for my business, and usually by the time I'm talking to them, to your point, the research is there. I know the problem I can solve. So being able to get a no into a yes is a lot easier by, I won't say guiding the conversation, but asking the questions and letting them answer them so they're changing their own mind versus my changing their mind. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah.
Yep.
Another good one is to sort of kind of give them a picture of what the future is going to be like if they decide not to make this decision. So, I mean, I had somebody the other day, and he was like, "Oh, it's expensive," and I'm like, "Well, it's not really, because you're making a life-changing decision. So you're going to be changing your future. So it's not expensive. It's just a difficult, uncomfortable position to be in, because you're changing your life. You're making a life-changing decision." And he's like, "Oh yeah." So you basically have to make him think. So what happens if you say no to me today? Is your situation going to be any different in 12 months' time, or are you still going to be in the same situation you're in now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely right.
So you kind of putting the ball back in their court rather than being a pushy salesman. You say, well, if you don't make this decision today and you decide to go ahead with this, how is your situation going to change in 12 months' time? The answer is it's not going to change.
It's not, right?
Yeah,
and probably worst case, it could actually begin to deteriorate further, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, where if they work with you, at least there's that chance to maintain and then start to level up.
Absolutely.
I like that. So in the entrepreneurial world, what would you find from personal experience the toughest thing about being on your own is?
Oh, right. Wow. Well, the thing is, I mean, it's the idea of wearing different hats, isn't it? It's you've probably got one or two or maybe three skill sets that you're really good at. But like for me personally, I cannot stand anything to do with tech or designing things or graphics or anything like that. So I get somebody else to do that for me because it's about delegating and realizing your strengths. Don't get me wrong. I like to work on my weaknesses. I like to, at the moment, I'm trying to work on copywriting because I'm not very good at it. So my sales skills are relatively good. I'm happy with that. But my copywriting skills are non-existent. So I'm trying to work on that a little bit because I think it's a good skill to have, is being able to write copywriting. Sure. So I'm trying to work on that, but I'm not going to try and do everything because I know that I'm not good at tech. So I wouldn't even try and make myself good at it because I might as well get somebody to do it for me. So I think that the most difficult thing about being an entrepreneur is don't try and do everything. You need to understand where your weaknesses lie, and if they are really weak, then delegate it or get somebody to do it for you.
Yeah, I'm totally on board with that one. I think understanding your weaknesses is one thing. I think one of the things is, and maybe yours is a great example. If we go with the tech, see, I'm on the flip side of that. I love tech. I could dabble with that all day long. It doesn't make it my strength. I dig it. It's kind of cool. Yeah. And I think those that understand their weaknesses, like you said, and then turn around and say, well, am I even interested in growing that skill? Right. And if you're not, well, then don't waste your time, because you're gonna put a piddly amount of action against it and get piddly results as well. So absolutely, hone the skills that you already know are well, that you have a high interest in, and then find those weaknesses that you're like, okay, I want to dig in there. Like you said, copywriting, you have an interest in it and your skills are low. So now you're going to start bringing that back up. So now you're going to apply yourself against it versus, stumbling in the dark, so to speak.
Yeah. You just reminded me of an interview I did a few months ago with Tony Watley. He's a phenomenal businessman, and he actually wrote a book called The Side Hustle Millionaire. Mm-hmm. And we was chatting about if I was ever to run my own business, or like start my own business to do with like a side business, should we say, or a side hustle. Mm-hmm. Would it be better to do something that I'm passionate in? Like for myself, selling martial arts weapons, for example. And he said, yeah, so if it's something you're passionate about, if you can make that into a business, you're much better because you're already stoked and pumped about it, aren't you? Whereas if you're trying to do something that you're not really that interested in, like we just said about your skill set, trying to work on a skill that you have no interest in, it's kind of pointless, isn't it?
It is totally. And I was lucky enough. Tony Watley was one of the first folks we interviewed here on the Dark Horse, and
brilliant.
He built himself that was it LZ Tech or LZ1 Tech. Built that 300,000 membership site behind his passion, which was performance cars. And he's a great one. Take some great advice from. Let's see. So I want to be mindful of your time. You've been so nice to hang out here, and before I step back and let you share all the great places they can learn about you, if there is 2 or 3 things, or just specifically one thing or more, right, that you want someone to walk away from our time together, what would it be?
I would say go with your gut. And if there is something that you are interested in or passionate about, and you're kind of stuck in your monotonous 9 to 5 or whatever it is, and you're not happy with whatever it is you're doing, go with your gut, and just go for it. You only live once, that's what they say, isn't it? Or you only die once is probably a better way of putting it, isn't it? So you live every day, so you might as well get up in the morning and be pumped about your day, rather than get up in the morning and think, I've got to spend 8 hours in such an office doing this monotonous job that I'm not interested in. So that would be my kind of golden nugget, is if you want, even if it's just a side hustle, we've just mentioned the side hustles, even if it's carrying on with your monotonous job so that you can build something on the side I would never recommend stopping everything and putting all your eggs in one basket and just taking a leap of faith into something. But if you are passionate about something, start that side hustle, carry on your job until it can take over and your passive income becomes your main income. So I would just say, go for it.
Go for it. There it is. You heard it from the sales samurai himself. All right, Mr. John, I know you wanted to share with us these the 6 killer samurai closes, the PDF that we're going to make sure they're in the show notes. But tell folks about that so they'll want to go and check it out.
Yeah, they're relatively straightforward, simple closing techniques. So if you're into sales, or even you could use this for part of your business if you're just unsure about how to kind of close a deal or secure. I say close a deal. I prefer to say to start a relationship or kind of gain a customer is a better way of putting it. Closing a deal is the actual term. Closing comes from a sales where you only sell that one time. So if you've got something like that you're only going to sell to that person once, you close that deal. But if it's something like a client or a customer, it's more of a relationship building, isn't it? So these are just some techniques. So it's 6 different techniques that you can use to get the job done, basically. And I'll just let you know, one of them is literally simply to ask for it. Just ask for the sale.
There it is.
It sounds simple, but it's effective. If you're kind of in a situation where you've got a feeling that they're interested, just say, so would you like to move ahead with it then? Or just ask them. There's no harm in asking. And a lot of the time, it's a good way of doing it.
It's so funny that some of the simplest rules are just that. They're the simplest rules that, I didn't ask for the sale. Like, hey, you walk out. I gave this great presentation and they were all stoked and they answered all the questions right. Well, did you get the sale? No, I'm waiting for them to call. What do you mean you're waiting for them to call, right? You should have asked for it right there.
Exactly.
I've been guilty of that back in my early days. You're like, you walk away, you hang up that phone. You're like, man, I did so good. Oh, I forgot to ask them for the sale. Oh my goodness.
But it's like when the strike while the iron's hot, when you've built that rapport and you've done that presentation and they're in a buying mood, then if you leave it and leave it a couple of days, they've gone cold again. So you got to strike while the iron's hot.
So I want to drill down just for a minute here on that one. So do you find that a lot of your sales techniques are more live discussion techniques, or can they be flipped over into the digital landscape as well?
Well, it's funny you should say that, because that's why I'm working on the copyright. It's like I've just said, I'm much better on the phone verbally at the moment, because when you're wording things, it's a different skill, isn't it? So that's why I'm saying the copywriting is definitely something that I want to work on, so that if it comes to where I'm writing emails or we're doing text, I can use the right terminology and the right words to get the same results. Gotcha.
So it's a little different skill set. All right, I get that.
Absolutely.
All right, so Mr. John, tell us where everyone can learn more about the Sales Samurai.
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost is my show, the Success Breeds Success show. It's available on most platforms, including Apple, Spotify. You can even get it on like Stitcher and iHeartRadio. We don't have that over here, but I know you guys do, so it's available on there. The only other kind of thing that I'm promoting at the moment would be my Sales Samurai YouTube channel, where I'm doing demonstrations, so martial arts demonstrations and sales tips combined. It's still quite new, so I haven't got a lot of content on there just yet, but I do share sort of related episodes as well on there. So there's I spoke to Sean Kanan, and he's a martial artist who was actually in the Karate Kid film. He was in the Karate Kid 3. He was the Cobra Kai. So his interviews on there. So anything that's kind of martial arts or fighting related is on there as well.
Nice. All right. So we'll be sure we got the podcast, the Success Breed Success podcast, obviously the YouTube channel. We'll be sure to get those links down there in the show notes to this show. Any party words, John?
Well, just apart from thanks for having me, and it's been a pleasure. It's always nice to reach out and speak to a new network of people. And I hope you've got some content, some value from my content today.
Oh, I guarantee you they have. John, I certainly appreciate your time. And we'll have to do this again maybe in 6 or 8 months or so, and kind of catch up with each other and see how things have leveled up on your side of the pond, as they say.
Absolutely. The 51st step. Yeah.
All right. Thanks so much, John. Talk to you soon.
Okay. Pleasure. Thank you. Cheers.
All right, there you have it, my Dark Horse family. John Molyneux dropping samurai-level sales bombs here at the Dark Horse HQ. Here are a few thoughts I walked away with. Thought number 1, John was floating through life in his teens and then went into the military. While he found that wasn't for him long-term, he still was able to glean some wins out of his time in His Majesty's military. Discipline and perseverance were a couple of things that he specifically called out. Now, afterwards, he drifted into some security events and the like, which is not uncommon for a former military man as a path. And then he stumbled into martial arts. Then he stumbled into the opportunity to be an instructor, and that led him to a sales path. And then he figured out a way to get his martial arts instruction for free by becoming a door knocker for about, what was it he mentioned, 4 or 5 years. He engaged his sales skills through frequent sales conversations with prospects. You know, no matter the journey that you're going through, no matter where you are in your life or where you've been, you've drifted through areas, you've had dark times, you've had high points and low points, right? The roller coaster ride of life. I truly urge you to take some time and review the things that you've already learned, right? Truly take a few minutes today and reflect upon the lessons, the paths taken, the paths you wish you hadn't taken, and ask yourself, what valuable tips, tricks, techniques, or hidden gems do you have tucked away within those journeys? How can you share those with yourself and with your market as a value-added benefit within your products or your services? Thought number 2, Grit and determination are the key to success. Now, John shared how he feels that he gained his grit and determination within his time in the military, and then he found it in the application of martial arts. Now, while you don't have to have been in the military or a martial arts practitioner to foster your grit and determination, that was just in John's case. Those were his pathways, or maybe even his motivators to spur on his grit and determination. Now, how can you spur on your grit and your determination to reach your personal and business goals? Well, the first thing you're going to have to do is this. You're going to have to decide to be determined. To be determined. Now, I'm not just saying that you need to say, oh, I'm going to be determined. No. You need to truly decide, believe in your heart of hearts that you will succeed, no matter what course you have to take, no matter what obstacles are in your way. Because you know what? There are going to be obstacles in your way. You're going to have to go over, around, or through, or under something. So you're going to have to be determined. And then develop a plan to reach your goal. Make sure those plans align with who you are. I've mentioned it a few times here, right? Who you are, and then why you're seeking out this goal. Now that you've decided what you're going to do, and you're determined, and you've aligned it with who you are and why you want to do it, muster up those 3 seconds of courage and take that first step. And 3 more seconds and take that second step, and so on to the third. Because you know what? Imperfect practice gets us closer to perfect. Thought number 3, absorb what's useful and discard the rest. This applies to me to all things in life, personal life, business life, as well as the martial arts examples that were given in this episode. Whatever is going on in your life, or whatever learning opportunities you're presented with, right? And they're coming to you in how many forms these days, right? Webinars, Zoom calls, podcasts, masterminds, books, coaches, etc., etc. Always absorb what is useful, discard the rest. Please do not get bogged down in trying to learn the 50 steps of becoming a better man or woman or entrepreneur or shopkeeper, website designer, whatever arena you're stepping into. Instead, take 1 or 2 or 3 things that you know you can most benefit from doing right now, today, not a week from now, not tomorrow, not a month from now. And then put those 1 or 2 or 3 things into action right now. Yeah? See? Then watch the results. Learn and react. Once you have those few things in place and dialed in, then go back and re-engage with the lesson, the coaching, the Zoom call, the mastermind, or whatever it was, and see what stands out for you next. Yeah? Put those into action. Guess what? Rinse and repeat. See? You're going to travel down your personal or development journey with whatever resonates with you today, right? And here's the cool trick about that whole thing. Whatever you find resonates with you today is quite probably different than what resonated with you yesterday, a year or 2 years ago, heck, a decade ago. And I can almost guarantee you it's going to be different what's going to resonate with you tomorrow, a year from now, or 2 years from now, right? So, because here's why. As you take actions, you grow. And as you grow, you're going to be in need of new lessons and new gems of advice, often found in the very courses and coaching or lessons you've already engaged in. So review them periodically and find out what now stands out to you versus what stood out to you the last time you went through the content. Thought number 4, learn some basic sales skills. I know, I get it, right? John shared with us the importance of getting used to rejection. I don't like it, but it just is. So here's the thing. I'm going to guess if you're listening to this podcast, this is something you've probably already had to deal with, right? And I'm guessing that I probably don't have to remind you, it's not going to go away. So keep getting used to it. Sales in business and sales in life, as John mentioned, just a numbers game. So whether you're trying to sell a shirt, sell a course, or just get a date, it's a numbers game. Now, mind you, you can improve those numbers games, right? With some, smart targeting, right? You can improve the targeting by, targeting the right customer or the potential dating partner. But in the end, it's still a numbers game. You're going to hear no far more than you hear yes. Now, you can improve the yeses, as we started alluding to, with a few things like, product knowledge, strategic prospecting skills, like, smart targeting I mentioned, rapport building skills, being an active listener, good communication, getting micro commitments, honing your closing techniques. And last but not least, that I'll mention here is kind of like those, we would call them post-sales relationship management. How do you treat someone after you got the date? How do you treat someone after you get the sale, right? So all those things, you need to be ready to get more no's than yeses, right? You need to be willing to put yourself out there and focus on getting to those people that you can genuinely help. And then help them realize how what you're offering will help where they are and where they will be in the future. And then remind them of where they will be in the future if they don't take action. Right? And thought number 5, go with your gut. I don't think my Dark Horse fans need to be reminded of this one, but we already know how important this one is, right? But here we are with yet another example from the problem-solving ninja himself. Go with your gut. Oh, and remember to ask for the sale. So, all right, my Dark Horse fans, what inspiring ideas or tips resonated with you in this episode? Whatever they were, right? What am I going to say? That's right. Take some time and put them into action today. Go out there, run your race, get your results, and let me hear about those results. Seriously, I'm not kidding here. Email me at tracy@darkhorseschooling.com. Share the tip or idea that you came away with from this episode or any episode, how you put it into action, and what results you gained from that, right? We're building that prize pool I keep telling you about, and if you email me and I read it on the show, you win. Now, our next guest is Luis Diaz, and he's going to be sharing his journey and his tips on, that's right, podcasting. So if you've even remotely considered having your own podcast, this is going to be a must-listen-to episode. Now, talking about must-listen-to episodes, all of them are must-listen-to episodes, in my humble opinion. So if you want to keep getting all these valuable tips and inspirational stories from this podcast, please go on down there and hit that subscribe button. While you're there, drop us a 5-star rating and leave us a quick review. And of course, don't keep all this entrepreneurial GOLD to yourself. Share the podcast with other entrepreneurs and business owners that you know will get value from it. And with that, I'm going to leave you as I always do. Think successfully and take action.
Thank you for listening to the Dark Horse Entrepreneur Podcast.
Thanks for tuning in.
Check us out at www.darkhorseschooling.com.
All right.
My name is Tracy Brinkman.